Did you know Tecmo Bowl originally was a 4-player game in the arcades? It was played on a massive dual cabinet. You would never be able to fit this through your door. The gameplay left a lot to be desired though. Thankfully, the NES arcade port plays much differently. Everyone who played football games on the NES only fondly remembers Tecmo games. So, what's so great about them? Nearly every football game before Tecmo Bowl focused on trying to make a simulation. This game stuck with having a fun arcade feel, one that would appeal to people who aren't already fans of football. It also was the first game to have some approval by the NFL, allowing the use of the actual rosters and player names. The original Tecmo Bowl, released in 1989, is limited to only 12 teams, but by the time of Tecmo Super Bowl in 1991, they would have access to all teams. The original Tecmo Bowl on the NES was limited in other ways as well. You only had 9 players on the field, you couldn't customize your teams, there was no season data, and there's only 3 modes of play. However, it introduced 2 key staples of the franchise, play picking and grappling. One of the most unique elements of the game is the play picking. On offense, you choose one of 4 plays, and on defense, you choose one of those same 4 plays yourself. If both players pick the same play, the defense players become supercharged and just bowl over the offensive line. This will nearly guarantee a loss of yardage. This play picking feature was a central component to the gameplay. It added a lot of strategy and excitement to the game. There's a lot of mind games here in picking your opponent's play, like they'll never expect the same play 3 times in a row. The other main Tecmo staple is the grappling. If you don't slide tackle the offensive player and you just run into them, both players will duel it out in a mashing contest. Whoever mashes the A button faster wins, resulting in either a tackle or flinging the defender off of you like popcorn. Despite all the great innovations Tecmo Bowl brought to the table, it had many flaws. Some examples include the time stops at the end of every play, so there's no timeouts here. You can't customize your playbooks, which led to some stale gameplay. There's no actual season play, which also meant there's no stats on how your team is performing. Every pass also is binary. It's completed if the receiver is open, or it's intercepted if the receiver is covered. Thankfully, all of these flaws are resolved in the sequel, Tecmo Super Bowl. Tecmo Super Bowl must be one of the most improved sequels ever made. Not only did it address all of those flaws, it also added countless new features to the game. This game really earned that Super title. Some of these new features included a fleshed out season mode with loads of stats tracking, player conditions changing throughout the game which affects their performance, being able to swap players between each play, and the ability to customize your team's playbooks before each game. Tecmo Super Bowl just had a very well polished feel to it. Whereas the original only gave you 4 plays to choose from, you now have 8 slots which can be customized to your liking. For instance, say your team has a strong running game like the Detroit Lions with Barry Sanders. Maybe you want to just throw in a few play-action passing plays then. Or maybe you just YOLO it, just put in all the trick plays. Messing around with the playbook is a lot of fun, no matter how you do it. Another addition in Tecmo Super Bowl is player attributes. This influences how well they play their position. Passing speed and accuracy, maximum speed, receiving, and interceptions are some of the many attributes here. These attributes also change over time based on the player's condition. All players start in average condition, which gives you a gauge of how well they currently perform. You may notice the player moving slower or dropping more passes, which encourages you to check the condition regularly throughout the game. This attribute checking allowed you to make solid, informed decisions. Another of the highlights here is the fleshed out stat tracking in season mode. Not only can you view the overall best offense and defense, you can filter by category like passing, running, and sacks. Within those categories, you can filter it even more, like best quarterback according to completion percentage or yards per game. I remember as a kid just being obsessed with these stats. It really made the game have a fun, addictive feel to it. There's always something to improve on. The game is not without any flaws though. Firstly, you can't view any attributes of your defensive players. You have to just try them all out and memorize who to pick. Secondly, some players like Bo Jackson are super overpowered. Like, look at this ridiculous play. And lastly, there's a lot of flickering from the amount of sprites on the field. All of these would be fixed in the Super Nintendo versions, but that's for next week. Tecmo Bowl and Tecmo Super Bowl are by far the best football games on the NES. I'm glad Tecmo decided to go with an arcade feel. Though these games are 30 years old, they still have a large following. You can find ROM hacks each year which have updated rosters, or you can play in online leagues for a challenge. Though single player mode is fun with all the stat tracking, I highly recommend playing this game with a friend. I have great memories of staying up all night at a friend's house playing Tecmo Super Bowl. Trust me, it is a blast. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a most excellent day.